So, perfect competition. Right. Perfect competition is when you're talking about there is no power in the hands of buyers. They cannot influence the market price or the resources, And similarly, there is no power in the hands of consumers. So the market forces are clearing in the right fashion. So what are the terms and conditions for perfect competition to exist in the market? So the first thing is we look at, in perfect competition, there will be lots of buyers and lots of sellers. So there are too many buyers, there are too many sellers. Whatever the sellers or the firms can produce can be sold in the market. So there is no remaining product in the end. Both of them have very little power, or in fact no power, all right, to influence the market price. So it's done by the market forces of the price mechanism, supply and demand. Okay. In perfect competition, there is homogeneous or identical goods. There is no product differentiation. What that does is, if you've got one seller trying to ask you for a higher price, as a customer, you don't go to that seller, you go to the other one, because he'll be selling the same product. There is no differentiation in the product, and you can buy it. Okay? So what that does is it takes away a bit of barrier, in terms of product differentiation. So in perfect competition, the next point is we've got no barriers to enter and exit the market. What do we understand by barriers? Can you give me a barrier or two for a firm to enter the market or exit the market?
Are they like laws?
Sorry?
Are they laws? Like laws?
No. Barriers in terms of capital investment. If there is a high capital investment, do you think firms can freely enter the market?
No.
So that becomes a barrier. So what we are saying is, in perfect competition, there's literally no barrier. Patent?
Yeah.
If a medical firm has a patent to produce that medicine, no other firms can produce it.
Yeah.
So in perfect competition, there are no barriers to enter and exit. The firms can move into a market if they think they can make supernormal profits. So which is one of the essential conditions, and it keeps the supernormal profits out of the perfect competition. This is what we will learn in due process. Type of information. Information is symmetric. What that means is both buyers and sellers have perfect information. So if I go to a shop and the shop person is trying to sell me a product at a higher price, I know there is a shop around the corner that's going to sell me the same product at the market price. So what that does is it takes away the power of the seller. On the other hand, if I'm trying to negotiate a lower price with a seller, he knows there's going to be another customer who will come and pay him the right market price. Okay? So symmetric information, both buyer and seller have equal information, the quality of information, the quantity of information is equal to make the right decision.
Yeah.
So first thing what we'll look in perfect competition is the demand curve for a firm. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a market, and I'm going to look at a firm. We have quantity on the x-axis, put pound on the y-axis. Right? And the market forces of demand and supply are interacting, supply, demand, and they come to a price, let's say, at a quantity in the market available 1,000 units. Okay? And these 1,000 units are available at £5.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is in the market. For an individual firm, what that means is they can sell as many goods they can produce at £5, as long as they're not making a loss. Right? But because we've said in perfect competition there are lots of buyers and lots of sellers, the individual firm is not making that 1,000 units. Let's say there are many other firms, and this firm of ours is able to supply, let's say, 50 units of that 1,000 units. Okay? Now, why is it able to supply 50 units? Okay? So there are a few things. What we'll do is we'll now start applying our production and cost curves to this to understand it. So first thing, this is the demand curve for the firm, and it's a horizontal line. So we can say demand, which is also equal to average revenue, is equal to marginal revenue, because it can sell as many products it can produce at that £5. Now, if the firm tries to increase the price from £5 to, let's say, £6, do you think the firm's going to have any sales?
No.
No. Why? Because the customer can go to
Another firm.
another firm, because they're selling the identical good.
Yeah.
All right? And if the same firm tries to sell the good at £4, does that make business sense?
Yeah, it does.
Do you think so? If you can sell all the goods at £5,
Oh, no.
would you want to reduce your
No,
price to £4?
No, you wouldn't.
No. So in perfect competition,
Yeah.
this £4 price in real life does not make any sense. So we normally call it no sense price, or some people call it nonsense price. And £6, again, you'll make no sale.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, perfect competition, at this point where we are producing, traditionally, we know profit maximization, pi is the symbol for profit, yeah? Profit maximization takes place where MC equals MR. Marginal cost equals marginal revenue. So because I've already put down this 50 units, my marginal cost should be going from that point.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because traditionally we've said profit maximization, MC is equal to MR. So my point over here is going through this. Now in perfect competition, we've agreed there are lots of buyers, lot of sellers, and they don't have any influence over the price. When they do not have any influence over the price, let's say the sellers or even the buyers, what sort of a profit do you think a firm would be earning in perfect competition if they don't have any influence over the price? Do you think they can make supernormal profits, or they'll make normal profits?
Normal.
Normal profits. Why? Because they can't influence the price
Yeah.
they're selling at. Therefore, if that is the case, to make normal profits for every unit, average revenue should equal to average cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, at this point, would be our average cost curve.
Yeah.
And we know by definition, a firm is productively efficient where MC cuts the AC at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? We agreed at profit maximization, MC equals MR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Normal profits, average revenue equals average cost, because that's what you make in perfect competition.
Yeah.
And because the MC is cutting AC at that point, this is at the bottommost, we know in perfect competition the firm is productively efficient.
Yeah.
Marginal cost equals average cost.
Yeah.
Yeah? And the firm is also allocatively efficient because at that point where it's producing, we know that the price, which is £5, is also equal to MC.
Yeah.
So the cost of manufacturing a good to the firm, which is £5, is also equal to the cost which the customers are willing to pay, £5. So there is no waste in the resource, and it's not being overproduced or underproduced.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So in perfect competition, this is to understand that this is where the firm will produce, where it is both productively and allocatively efficient, and it's not making any supernormal profits.
Yeah.
Another question which they normally throw in exams is, do you think the firm can produce, let's say at this point, Q1, or let's say 40 units, or at this point, let's say 60 units? Do you think the firm in perfect competition would benefit from producing at 40 units or 60 units?
They benefit from 60 units.
You think so? They'll benefit from 60 units. At 60 units, look at the average revenue and look at the average cost. Which one is greater?
The average revenue.
At 60 units, this is your average cost curve.
Oh yeah, the average cost, yeah.
Average cost is greater than average revenue.
Yeah.
At 40 units, again, is the average cost greater than average revenue or lower?
Lower.
No. 40 units, look over here.
Oh yeah, higher.
Higher.
Yeah.
When the average cost is greater than average revenue, is the firm going to make normal profits or negative profits or a loss?
It'd be negative.
Negative profits,
Yeah.
or a loss,
A
which is
loss.
also called loss, isn't it? So it'll make a loss. So there is only one point where the firm can produce in perfect competition, which would be your 50,
Yeah.
where the firm is both productively and allocatively efficient, and that is why it only makes normal profits.
Yeah.
Any questions so far? Are you happy with this?
I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Okay, moving on from here, let's say for example, in the short run, what we'll do is we'll look at the short run and the long run scenario. The firm, in the short run, and we'll again draw two diagrams to understand. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. In the market, in the short run, we've got the supply, we've got the demand, and let's say the units produced in the market are 500 units. Let's make it a bit different. And the price in the market is £8, and this is the market. Right, now, in short run, for the firm, the price is £8.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And let's say I draw these curves. MC. So this is where the firm will produce, where MC is equal to MR.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's say this is the firm's average cost curve. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now where MC is equal to MR, the firm is producing, let's say, 80 units. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, in this diagram, at this point where the AC is cutting that 80 quantity, at that point, let's say, the cost to the firm of manufacturing 80 units, the average cost of the firm of manufacturing 80 units is £5.
Yeah.
Do you think the firm is making supernormal profit there or not?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
First of all, per unit, what is the profit? £8 less £5, which is £3.
Yeah.
And what is the total profit of the firm?
Yes.
£3 times
80.
80, £240.
Yeah.
Well done. So the total profit of the firm is 240, which is supernormal profits, right?
Yeah.
Now, when the firm is making supernormal profits, what will happen? Because the firm is making supernormal profits, what happens? Do you think new firms will enter the market?
With
If an existing company
yeah.
is making supernormal profit
Yeah.
within a business environment,
Yeah.
what will other entrepreneurs do?
They want to join the market as well.
They will join the market as well, isn't it? To take share of that supernormal profit.
Yeah.
And what makes it easier for them to enter in perfect competition?
There's no barriers to entry.
Well done, because there are no barriers to entry.
Yeah.
Because there are no barriers to entry, let me put that down. No barriers to entry. The supply curve in the market is going to move to the right.
Yeah.
True? Why? Because new firms have joined in. It's becoming a bit congested there, but we'll manage, right?
Yeah.
Increasing the market output to, let's say, from 500 to 800. Now, when the firms are joining in, there might be more firms that might join in, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when the new firms join in, let's say, for example, if equal number of firms join in, this £8 might be pushed down to, let's say, £5.
Yeah.
But you might also have a condition where you might have more the firms than needed joining the market. So S2 might actually end up at S3. And the price might be quite low. Let's say at £3. What would happen over there? When these firms, more firms than needed actually joined the market and lowered the price lower than £5,
Yeah.
would these firms still stay in the market or would they exit the market?
But they exit.
They'll exit. Why? Because there are no barriers to entry, which is one of the biggest barriers that the firms have to consider when they're exiting the market. Have you heard about something called sunk costs?
No, I don't.
It's the amount of money you will actually lose. Sunk costs can be both at entry and exit.
Yeah.
But when you're exiting the market, let's say, for example, land and building, machinery, will you be able to recoup the money you've put them in? Sometimes firms are, because what happens to the value of land in the long term?
Does it increase?
It increases, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, no. And this is what we've seen, the old industrial estates are being converted into residential housing. Why? Because the land value has gone up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, let's come back to this. So it brings down the price to £5. So initially we discussed the firm was making an S&P of £8 minus £5, which is equal to 3 times 80 units. So 80 times 3 equal to £240. Now this £240 of S&P encouraged new firms to join the market.
Yeah.
When the new firms joined the market supply has increased from 500 to 800 and the price has fallen down from £8 to £5.
Yeah.
Right? When the price has fallen down to £8 to £5, right, for the existing firm in the market, our original firm,
Yeah.
for them, this now becomes the new demand curve, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is where MR is cutting MC, isn't it?
Yeah.
MR equals MC, which might be back to 50 units.
Yeah.
So the market supply has increased, but the quantity, this firm was supplying has gone down from 80 to 50. Why? It's lost the market share because of the new firms coming in.
Yeah.
And at this point, where MI is equal to MC, is it making supernormal profits or normal profits?
That'd be normal profits.
Well done. Because £5 is your demand or your selling price
Yeah.
or your average revenue, and £5 is also your average cost.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah? So at £5 equal to £5, which is equal to average revenue equal to average cost.
Yeah.
So what we say is, in the long run, in short run, perfect competition, you can make supernormal profits. However, supernormal profits will be competed away because new firms will enter the market due to lack of barriers to enter.
Yeah.
Yeah? And they'll drive the prices down and increase the market supply in process. So they increase the market supply, brings the market prices down.
Yeah.
Okay? Right. Moving on from here, what we do is we look at the advantages and the disadvantages of perfect competition. From the diagrams and from what we've done so far, can you think about let's have a look at 3 advantages of perfect competition. There are 2 advantages right now on the board. So in terms of efficiency, perfect competition. In terms of efficiency,
Yeah.
is it productively efficient?
Yeah.
So it has low prices and it charges lower prices to the customer. So it is
Yeah.
productively efficient.
Yeah.
So because it's manufacturing at a lower price, it will also charge it's manufacturing at a lower cost, it will charge a lower price. Why? Because of competitors. Yeah? Is it allocatively efficient?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is allocatively efficient, and because the resources are finite, we know in perfect competition we are not wasting those resources.
Yeah.
Okay? Why? Because we are only producing what is demanded. We are not producing excess.
Sure.
Yeah? Now, there is another point where we have the welfare of the society. Now, when we say welfare of the society, it includes everyone, producers, consumers, and even the third parties who are not engaged in market transaction. Let's say, for example, if someone is smoking cigarette and there's a person standing behind it, what is detrimental to the person standing behind who's not smoking cigarette?
They could breathe in the fumes.
They could still breathe in the fumes, isn't it? That's passive smoking, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's detrimental to their effect. But in perfect competition, what we have is, we go back to this market diagram over here,
Yeah.
right? So in this diagram, first of all, this is where the society wants it to be the price to reflect the cost of production.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our consumer surplus. Let me write it properly so it sticks in the camera. This is our consumer surplus, and this is our welfare, our producer surplus. And there is nothing lost over here in deadweight loss or welfare loss. Also, when we talk about perfect competition, though there are more videos about on the channel to look at negative externalities, but we're looking at in terms of the welfare, the price which is being charged to the customer, we're talking about the externalities has actually been accounted for it.
Yeah.
So at this point, what we are saying is that marginal social cost is also equal to marginal social benefit. And then zero externalities. Everything has been included within the pricing in perfect competition.
Yeah.
So there are no welfare loss within perfect competition. Also, having said that, there are certain disadvantages of having perfect competition. Does perfect competition make supernormal profits?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Only in the short run,
In
isn't
the
it?
short run, yeah.
But in the long run, if a firm is operating in the long run, is it going to have any supernormal profits?
No, it's not.
It's not going to have any supernormal profits. And if you don't have supernormal profits, do you think firm will have money to invest in research and development? Normal profits are enough to keep the resources in the state of production.
Yeah.
Research and development comes from spare money.
Yeah.
So does the firm have any spare money, do you think, in perfect competition? If it's in the long run or if it's been running as...
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't have anything, isn't
Yeah.
it? So when there is no research and development funds available, which is part of the dynamic efficiency, I've done that to show why monopolies are more favorable as compared to perfect competition. But
Yeah.
anyways, when there is no research and development funds available, what happens to our choice? Consumer choice. Do we get different types of good, or do we only have one type of good in that market?
3 on one side.
One type of good. So think about this. If Apple was not making all those profits over the years, you would be stuck with just Apple iPhone, the first one you had.
Yeah.
And now we've got Apple i7 that's come out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And same with Samsung Galaxy. If they were not making those money in supernormal profits, then they would not invest that in research and development. So consumer choice is very limited. Is limited to one product, right? Now, in the long run, £5 is what we saw because the new firms entered the market. But in perfect competition, because you've got so many firms,
Yeah.
and they're all producing small quantity of goods, as we've seen, do you think they can achieve economies of scale?
No, I don't think.
No, because they're only producing small quantity of goods. Well done. So if they're only producing small quantity of goods and they're not achieving economies of scale, pretty much we could draw another diagram over here just to understand. So let's say this was the big firm's average cost curve or monopoly.
Yeah.
And this would be the perfect competition. So we can see that they are not achieving economies of scale. And when they are not achieving economies of scale, what sort of cost? It's a high cost or a low cost in perfect competition for firms?
Is it a high cost?
It's a high cost, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if they are having high cost, what happens to the general market price?
Does it increase as well?
It's high as well, isn't it, as compared to... So big firms can actually achieve economies of scale and reduce the price as long as they're passing the savings in price to customers. But perfect competition do not achieve... BC do not achieve economies of scale and may lead to higher prices in the market. And that is why in certain market structures we prefer to have big firms that have perfect competition. Why? And that is sometimes also referred to as wasteful competition. So let's think about these markets. So first of all, keyword, wasteful competition. So can we think about certain markets in UK where competition is not encouraged? Why? Because we need huge economies of scale.
Yeah.
BBC. Though it's a state-funded organization,
Yeah.
and yes, we have ITV and other things, but you've got one organization where we pay license fee,
Yeah.
funded by people, but what it does is it keeps the entertainment cost down.
Yeah.
Apart from that, we can look at National Grid.
Yeah.
National Grid supplies electricity
Yeah.
and gas to all over UK. We don't have competing firms on that. Network Rail or water companies.
Yeah.
You and I have the same water supplier.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So these firms need to produce huge quantity of goods, and perfect competition is not helpful. Also, we need to look at market size. UK itself, is it a big country or a small country as compared to some of the others? As compared to
Small
US,
country,
it's a
isn't
small
it?
country, isn't it? So
Yeah.
market size is small.
Yeah.
So sometimes we need big firms to give us that sort of pricing, and we do not encourage competition, and we call it wasteful competition.
Yeah. Sure.
Any questions you want to ask me on perfect competition? You think?
I understand it. Yeah. No question.